We have had such great response for these little vignettes. We want to thank everybody and remind you to share these with friends. I think they'll be very, very pleased that you did. We're in the back of the museum, and there's something behind this door that even when we are open, most people don't get to see. They don't really know that behind this door there's, another door. And this door leads into our library. We have a complete library and archives here at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum. Let's go inside. We're inside the library at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum in Duluth, the Ron Kachakovitz Library and Archives. Ron was a long-term volunteer librarian here, and in his estate he left the funds so we could build a 2-story archival storage area for all sorts of great artifacts. Look at all this great stuff in here. Why, we've got library books, we've got archival material. You'll find everything in the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, most of it pertaining to the paper artifacts left behind by the railroads. Obviously, we've got a lot of books that have been donated over the years, but some of the most interesting things here are the manuscripts, are the blueprints, are the meeting minutes from railroads long past. It's all here in our archival, and it's all cataloged, and it's all maintained by a full-time librarian and archivist and a group of volunteers. Some of the great things in the collection include the Teskey collection of timetables from railroads all across the country. One of the biggest donations we've had has been the Teskey Library of Timetables. Very unique, very well known, and we're going through them all, and the things we're learning by looking at these items is incredible. It's interesting what you can find in a library and archives if you dig deep enough. Well, we found something that's very interesting. It's the Great Minnesota Train Robbery. Now, you think about a train robbery, you think about masked men riding up on horseback. Well, that's robbing one train. How would you steal a whole railroad? That's a case for law and order. The first thing we do is don these white gloves because we'll be handling artifacts right now that are 135 years old. But they tell the story of the Great Minnesota, not train robbery, but railroad robbery. They stole the entire railroad. Here are the incorporation papers for the Duluth and Iron Range Railway. This dates back to 1875. And look at some of the things that we find. These are the articles of incorporation with the original board members. Peter Mitchell. He was a principal in the Mitchell-McClure logging line. Lewis Dickinson from Duluth. Joshua Culvers. George Stone. Remember that name. So the railroad's incorporated back in 1875, and each year the board of directors gets together and has minutes of meetings recorded. But you know what? Nothing happens. The reason is they have no money to build the railroad. So they meet, they keep the corporation alive, but nothing really happens. The Duluth and Iron Range Railway is on paper only. It's not spikes, it's not ties, and it's not rails. Not until something is found in northern Minnesota that would change all that. And it was the discovery of iron ore on Lake Vermilion and the first underground ore mine in Minnesota, owned by Charlemagne Tower. It was George Stone that actually got Charlemagne Tower interested in investing in iron mining in Minnesota. But they needed a railroad to haul the heavy ore from way inland at Lake Vermilion to docks in two harbors. And that's where the Duluth and Iron Range Railway became so important. Because here was a railroad already chartered to go to the Iron Range. They just didn't own it. So we go back to the minute books, and we find that on March 1st, 1882, the board meets again. They decide that the only way to get this railroad built is to have some more money put in. Charlemagne Tower is willing to do that. So they vote and make Charlemagne Tower and his son, Charlemagne Jr., now members of the board of directors for the Duluth and Iron Range Railway. George Stone introduces a resolution in the very next line of the minutes, calling for a margin call. Every shareholder at the meeting must now put in additional money, $100 a share, to keep their voting rights in the Duluth and Iron Range Railway. Guess who the three that have $100 in the room are? According to the minutes, not Mr. Bailey, no, not Mr. Lonigan, not Mr. Blood, not Mr. Culver. Only 3 people can come up with the margin call. Charlemagne Tower puts in his $100. His son, Charlemagne Tower Jr., puts in his $100. But they aren't in the room. They have proxies. Who is the proxy? George Stone, who puts in his $100. And now, instead of a board of directors of Duluthians and Mr. Mitchell from Ontonagon, Michigan, you have 3 owners of the railway. The 3 that could make the margin call, and the 3 that will build the Duluth and Iron Range to the mine in Vermilion. So let's close the book on this story. But what happened here was a hostile takeover. That's how you steal a railroad. And that's what they did. The Duluth and Iron Range Railway would not build from Duluth because Charlemagne Tower didn't need Duluth. He needed the closest route to his mine on Lake Vermilion, and that was 2 harbors. Later, the railroad did expand to Duluth, but that's another story. In 1884, when the line was finished, the company went to claim its land only to be denied. Seems the people George Stone and the Towers, father and son, screwed out of the railroad were Minnesota heavyweights. They used their political clout to point out that the Duluth and Iron Range Railway didn't go to Duluth and therefore wasn't able to claim it was finished. In 1886, the DNIR extended its tracks to Duluth along what we call the Lakefront Line, which, by the way, is today's North Shore Scenic Railroad, running our North Shore Scenic Railroad tourist trains. And there you have, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. And speaking of stories, there are thousands of them in a library and archives like ours. What's your railroad story? Share it in the comments section below. In the meantime, a new one of these comes to you every single day. You know what to do in the meantime, of course, and that is to wash your hands, protect your face, protect others when you cough or sneeze, and if you're sick, stay home. Most importantly, though, let's take care of each other.